Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and thanks to Boston Motorsports in Brighton, Massachusetts, we are driving the 2022 Porsche GT3. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that this is my favorite car. Well, the GT3. This is my first drive of the 992 generation of the GT3, and we still get a naturally aspirated flat six producing 502 horsepower, around 340, 350 pound-feet of torque, and it sends it all to the rear wheels. In a world where torque is king, we've got electric cars putting out 1,000 pound-feet of torque now, doing incredible things. This can still hit 60 miles an hour from a dig in 2.7 seconds. That's pretty incredible, and that's because the 911's inherently flawed design of having a rear engine layout allows all that weight to push down on those rear tires and rocket it off the line. So we're gonna have some fun today in this thing, and I'm so excited to drive the new generation of this car because of the suspension changes. The most notable thing about this car going from 991.2 to 992 for the Porsche nerds is this front suspension. We no longer have a McPherson strut setup up front. We've got a double wishbone. It's a pretty major change, and it also seems like it should have been done many years ago. That's like Mustang going from solid rear axle to independent rear suspension. Porsche allows you to spec your car out pretty much any way you want depending on your budget. This one is in chalk with chalk wheels, which is actually pretty cool looking. And down here we've got the steel brakes, kind of a rare option. Most people go for the PCCBs. We're gonna test these out today. We've got a 255 section tire up front and a 315 in the rear. Center locks all around just to make sure you have a very tough time if you get a flat tire on the side of the road. And up top, to reduce weight, up here is a carbon roof. The carbon roof looks very cool, and it's making me a little nostalgic for my previously sold E92 M3. Back here we've got the swan neck rear spoiler, which hangs onto this spoiler from above rather than propping it up underneath, giving us some space down here. Now, I haven't seen this in a wind tunnel, so I don't know all the aerodynamic efficiencies that this gains, but I'm sure it's good because Porsche does not mess around. Down here, we've got a really clever and classic center exhaust. That's the style of the GT3, and let's hope it always is. Unfortunately, there's nothing to see under the hood because Porsche buries everything, and yeah, I mean, you can probably fill your oil and that's about it. But let's take a look up front. Ooh, we do not have comfort access. Oh, that's a Honda key. Not cool. Upon unlocking, the door handles flap out. Very nice. Inside, we've got our carbon buckets. That's the style. Now, these are a little different feeling than the 991 generation carbon buckets. We're going to talk about that while we're driving. But inside, 992, as usual, our deceiving automatic PDK transmission. Looks like a manual. It is not. And in the rear, of course, no seats because GT3. Like all 911s, we have a left side ignition, although we no longer put this in because we have a perma key. And there we go, it jumps to life. We've got our gorgeous center tachometer. I'm really into this style because while everything is going touchscreens, they left that tachometer to be analog. That's what we want to see. One of the best things about a GT3 is the free revving engine. Very quick to respond to throttle inputs. That's what we want to see. To put it in drive, push down, back, and we're in. Let's see how she gets off the line. We're gonna go into track mode. I'm not gonna do a full launch control. I'm just gonna mat it and see what happens. Okay, it basically does its own launch control when you mat it. I think I like that. That's good tuning on Porsche's part. PDK, lightning fast, of course. We're gonna let's go into normal mode over the bumps. And the first thing you notice about this car is that it is fairly rigid. Yeah, this is not forgiving. I feel like the 991.2 generation that preceded this was a little more forgiving on the street in terms of suspension. There are things that this car seems to do better and kind of acts very regular. However, from a bouncy standpoint, if you've got rough roads, this may not be the daily driver that you expected to have to replace your, let's say, GT3 Touring of the previous gen. Knock it over into manual mode to hold our gear. steering is so sharp. It's actually just outrageous how little input it takes to get what you want out of the steering. Now let's try out our nose lift here on our big speed bump. I don't know what the speed limit is. Raising front of vehicle, good, good, good. All right, that's fast. That's what you want to see. We'll knock it back down. There we go. All right. The sound is just outrageous. You almost have to pay attention not to shift because it revs so high. You want to get those revs. You want to get all 9,000 of them. Love the way that rev limiter cuts in. Oh, the bumps. It doesn't like the bumps. Front end has so much grip. I mean, that's like outrageous grip. Yeah, I'm like genuinely shocked at the capabilities of this car on street tires right now. That's no joke. That is absolutely no joke, because not only is the turn-in really precise and delicious, it has a ton of lateral grip. When we're out here meditatively on the highway, it actually does do a pretty good job of being a good highway cruiser. But this is where you start to notice that these seats feel a little different than the previous generation, and not in a great way. I feel like I want to be a little deeper into the back of the seat because I don't feel like I have the lateral support. I feel like I kind of bounce around in them back and forth, and I'm a really skinny guy, so I wonder how like larger people feel in these seats, if that's either more comfortable or less comfortable for them. But carbon buckets have always been the benchmark for me for like a good solid seat, you know, a rigid seat that doesn't recline or anything like that. And right now, this is the first time I might be swayed to like an 18-way or a 14-way instead. Find out when that started buffeting on the speedometer, but man, oh man, this thing is just alive. There's so much grip, it's like cheating. And what's incredible is because it doesn't have like monster torque like a GT2 or a turbo, you're not afraid of getting in the throttle. You can stay in that throttle. Love the sound of the gear changes here. We're gonna go easy over this bump because this car does have a much stiffer suspension than the previous generation. Wow. All right, let's get something out of the way here. I feel like it's a little normal. I feel like the car's been normalized just a little bit. It's still very exciting. I still very much want one, but I feel like they've taken the great parts of this car, the engine, the transmission, the handling characteristics, they've amplified it a bit, and we've maybe taken away some of the 911-ness of it, because like, I'm not afraid of staying in the power because I know I'm gonna have front grip over the front wheels. That's a good thing when it comes to like lap times and a handling perspective for sure. But I do feel like it's not behaving like I'm used to a GT3 behaving. It's not giving me like this thing where I feel like I've unlocked a special code as a 911 driver. Maybe I'm just digging for anything I can say negative about the car because it's so outrageously good. But you know, that's where we're at. I have to voice the opinion. I don't know how long we get naturally aspirated flat sixes that rev to 9,000 RPM in the future. This could be it. This could be the last one. And I think the demand we're seeing for these cars is showing that they very well might be the last ones. These are hard to get a hold of. If you buy them new, you can get them for MSRP, but on the used market, these are pulling a premium at Race Wars. It is pretty nuts, and people are paying it because they know they might not get one otherwise. It's fun to just play with the transmission a bit because you get these incredible sounds, and that's actually something that I remember Andy Pruniger, the lead of the GT department at Porsche, he said he was really into PDK because it unlocked these new tones from the engines that you just didn't get in the manuals. Like, that is really cool. You've heard me say before that, you know, these cars, you just can't go crazy in them because the limits are so high. It's really difficult to exploit this car on a public road. I mean, look, there's people walking. You know, we've got to respect, like, not killing people and their dogs just because we want to go out and have some fun. So if you're going to buy one of these cars, make sure you're scheduling some track time, or you've got some pretty desolate roads to play on, because if you get tempted to be out in an atmosphere where there's people out, man, oh man, the speeds you're going to be carrying are extravagantly high. That's a beautiful thing. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. Sorry for the wind buffeting, but holy cow, I am just blown away by how capable this is. I don't know that I've ever felt the front end of a car do what this is doing. I'm not joking about that. This is like when you're playing Gran Turismo or Forza and you put it in like cheater mode. Like, it just has grip that I never knew to be available, and it's allowing me to push things to levels that I didn't think could be pushed. Oh, the boys at Stuttgart have done it again. Like, holy effing shit. I wonder if people in today's car world are gonna be like bored by the powertrain of a GT3. This has very little torque, and it's my style of car, you know? This is what I like. I like a car you've got to rev out. I don't know that everybody likes this anymore. It's kind of wild to me that this still exists in a world where, you know, Ferraris are turbocharged. Of course you can get a 911 turbo. Of course, you know, a GT2 will be coming out, but is this going to entertain the masses for generations? I don't know. I think this is like for us. This is for the special car enthusiast who remembers when. And I'm really glad it's here, but I hope it doesn't go away that soon because I love it. So thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you to Boston Motorsports, part of the McGovern Auto Group, for lending me the keys to this gorgeous chalk 992 GT3. Ooh, looks a little small next to that. A Hennessy Mammoth Ram. It's like a TRX on steroids. I'll go ahead and assume it's got 1,000 horsepower. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. I am mildly bothered by the buffeting. I mean, I think typically I'd have the windows up, but they're tinted. I need to make sure that you guys can see everything. But on a racetrack, you know, you are supposed to have your windows down at most racetracks. And if I had to listen to that while I was driving on a racetrack, I think I would be pretty annoyed. And then they'd end up meatball flagging me to bring me in So I'd have to like put the windows up because I probably would start putting them up.